What's up guys, welcome to Pounds Invested. I'm your host, Stephen Georgiev. Before we get into today's video, I really want to thank those of you who have watched my other videos and who have subscribed to my channel already. We've hit 50 subscribers guys, thanks very much indeed. Let's keep the momentum going, shall we? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about 6 of the best investments that you can make in your 20s to set yourself up for financial greatness going forwards. Now, the first investment you should make is to invest in a high interest savings account. A high interest savings account really is the foundation of building amazing financial habits for the rest of your life. I agree, you're not going to get yacht rich just by having a high interest savings account. But what you will do is you'll have a place where you can leave your emergency fund and any other money that you have spare before you make your next investment. Now, there are a few things to bear in mind when choosing a high interest savings account. One, of course, is as the name suggests, it needs to be high interest. But in a low interest rate environment like we find ourselves in nowadays, what does that mean in practice? Well, ideally, you really want to be earning more than 1% on your money. Now, a trusty option in the UK for this is the Marcus Easy Access Savings Account. I really like this one because it pays you just above 1% interest, so that's that criteria ticked. It's easy access, so you can get access to your money whenever you like, so that's that criteria ticked. There are also no withdrawal limits, so you can make as many withdrawals as you like, whenever you like, penalty free. And also, there's no fee for operating your account, which is also a really good thing to bear in mind. And the best thing about having a high interest savings account is that it's something everybody can do right now, today. You can literally go online to marcus.co.uk and you can set up a savings account in under 5 minutes. Now, they aren't paying me to say this, but I love their account. So what are the key takeaways from having a high interest savings account? 1, make sure it's high interest, so it's paying you more than 1% per year. 2, make sure that it has penalty-free withdrawals, so you can make as many withdrawals as you like whenever you need to without having to pay a penalty or sacrificing any interest. 3, make sure there are no fees associated with the account when all you're doing is keeping your money in there safe and sound for when you need to make either your next investment or access your emergency fund. Now, the second really good investment you can make in your 20s is to have an ISA. I mentioned in my previous video the basics of an ISA. What does it stand for? It's an individual savings account. So with an ISA, you're allowed to invest up to £20,000 per year without paying any taxes on either the amount you invest or on the capital growth that you get from that investment. So really, it's an absolute no-brainer to invest every year into your ISA. Maybe you can't max it out some years, and that's fine, but make sure to be consistent and every year put at least something towards your ISA, because that way your investments will continue to grow, and when you do come to use them in years or decades to come, they'll grow tax-free. So why is it so important that your investment returns grow tax-free? Well, in the UK, the capital gains tax rate is either 10 or 20%, depending on your income. So, just as an example, if you were able to invest into your ISA £10,000 per year, and over 35 years, you made a long-term market average return rate of 7% per year, then after the 35-year period, your investment would be worth £1,440,000, which I'm sure you'll agree is quite a lot of money, even if we do account for inflation over time. There are a few really cool things to bear in mind with this. So, over a 35-year time period, if you've consistently invested £10,000 per year, your total contribution is going to be £350,000, which at the end of your 35-year time period is going to be worth £1,440,000. So that means that you have made more than £1,100,000 just by investing in an ISA and earning the market average return rate of 7% per year. Now, let's look at the impact of taxes. But let's say you did exactly the same thing, but you did it without using an ISA. So you invested your £10,000 per year for 35 years, you grew it at a market average of 7% per year, and then at the end of that time period, your investment was worth £1,440,000. But you didn't use an ISA, so you're now liable to pay tax on your investment. Let's say tax was due at 10%. Now, you have suddenly thrown away £140,000 just by not using an ISA. Guys, you are literally throwing away Aston Martin DB11. For the Bond fans out there, it's a bloody good car. And you're literally giving that up for nothing. So it's a no-brainer that investing through an ISA should be one of the first things you do when in your 20s. Now, there are a few companies you can use for this. Some of my favourites are Fidelity and Vanguard. But there are others as well. So start your research with Fidelity and Vanguard, and then look also at people like Charles Schwab or iShares. So, a third potential investment you can make in your 20s which may well be worthwhile going forwards is to invest in individual companies. Now, for most people out there, I don't recommend this approach because it's super risky. But if you feel confident taking an extra risk, or you have money that you wouldn't mind if you completely lost everything and your investment went to zero, then maybe you could look at investing in individual company shares. Or maybe if the time is right to invest in individual companies, you could do that. So what could some of the returns look like? Well, here's Amazon's stock chart this year. It's up 40%. Here's Tesla's stock chart this year. It's almost tripled in value. Here's Apple's stock chart this year. It's up almost 30%. But equally, guys, you could pick some really poor investments if you choose to invest in individual companies. Here's Carnival Cruise's stock performance chart this year. It's down 70%. Here's EasyJet's stock performance chart this year. It's down 65+%. So be super cautious if you choose to invest in individual companies. Yes, you can make incredible returns, but you can also see your investment wiped out entirely to zero. For reference, here's Wirecard's investment returns this year. And for those of you who don't know, the CEO of the company was recently investigated, and as a result, the stock price has basically gone to zero. So what are the tax implications if you choose to invest in individual company stocks? Well, in the UK, we have what's called a capital gains tax allowance each year. For the current year, to April 2021, the allowance is £12,300. So you can earn £12,300 of capital gains without paying a single penny in tax. So the fourth thing you should really look to do in your 20s is to pay down or ideally pay off any bad debt. Now, this often gets overlooked as an investment proposal, but it really is an investment. And here's my logic on this. Well, if you have a credit card charging you 25% interest, or a student loan charging you 6% interest, or an overdraft charging you a mind-boggling 40% interest, and you pay that down, what you're effectively doing is guaranteeing yourself either a 25%, a 6%, or a 40% return on your investment. Why is that the case? Well, the sooner you pay down your credit cards, your overdrafts, or your student loans, the sooner you can start investing in really anything which actually makes you money, rather than you having to pay out money. So the takeaway here is to make sure that you're paying down bad debt through your 20s, so that when you finish your 20s, you're completely bad debt free. Now let me be clear, having a credit card per se is not a bad thing, because it acts as an emergency safety net potentially. But having a balance on that credit card is one of the worst things you can do, because you are willfully paying up to a 40% interest rate, and that's just crazy. So the fifth way you can start investing in your 20s is by investing in property. Now, I get it, property is super expensive, you need hundreds of thousands of pounds to get started, but actually you might not. Now, before we get into some of the basics of this, let me just start off by saying that property is a really good diversifier, because what you're doing is you're buying an asset which is uncorrelated with financial markets. So the tricky thing with investing in property is often the 10 or 20% down payment you need to get started. But let's say you've been working for a few years and you manage to save enough money for your 10 or 20% down payment on your property. What's the best way of making it work for you? Well, one really cool way is something called house hacking. So what does this mean in practice? Well, it's buying a place which is maybe slightly bigger than what you think you might need. That way, you can rent out any surplus space. Now, we know that in the UK, people tend to pay around about 30 to 40 or even 50% of their income in rent. And at the end of 10 years or more renting, you in fact do not own any of the places where you've rented. So surely it makes more sense to get a mortgage and start paying towards something which over time you're eventually going to own. Now, a final really good investment to make in your 20s is to start some kind of side hustle. So during a period of lockdown, this could be something like tutoring online, because we know that so many children aren't in fact getting the amount of education that they need because their parents either don't have the time or the expertise to teach them in the absence of a teacher. That's where you come in with your specialist knowledge in a particular subject. Or equally, maybe if you're good with music, you could turn yourself into a lockdown DJ to alleviate all the lockdown boredom that people have been going through over the past couple of months. Or alternatively, maybe you could spend that time improving your core skills, which will lead to you getting promoted faster in your job. So that way, you're working on yourself. And so by getting promoted faster at work, you'll increase your earning potential sooner. And of course, the more you earn, the more you can save and invest. So in this video, guys, we've spoken about 6 ways in which, if you're in your 20s, you can start to invest. Now, let's level with you. You're not going to become yacht rich by doing really any of these things, unless either your side business really takes off, or you pick some incredible individual companies in which to invest. And if you do either of those things, let me know. I may well want to join in with you. And at the end of the day, guys, even if you don't become yacht rich by doing any of these things, you'll at the very least have a lot more cash than you would if you spent it all on buying FIFA or Fortnite points during lockdown. So, if you found this video useful, guys, be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Like I said, we've hit 50 subscribers, so the momentum is there. Let's keep it going. Now, in my next video, I'm going to go over some financial goals that maybe you should aim for by the time you hit 30. So if you'd like to find out where you should hope to be as you approach your 30s, watch my next video, and I'll see you then.